Yo, what's going on everybody? Thank you for clicking on this video. I know that it's been a minute since I've uploaded, kind of took a break just for myself. I also figured there's not too many people out there that are really relying on my information, so I didn't think it was that big of a deal, but just kind of doing some behind the scenes stuff, getting ready for the off season. But now we are good to go. There are going to be a bunch of videos coming at you guys this entire off season, getting ready for the 2023 season. These first couple though will be kind of review on this past season. This one today, just going through award winners, just pretty light and fun, and a good video to get back on the grind with. This is a little bit difficult since it's just me, so it's a little bit biased given what I experienced this past year. I did try to make it as unbiased as possible, but it's kind of difficult, so I'll obviously talk about that. But overall, just kind of reviewing the season, see who did good, see who did bad. Before we actually get into those awards, make sure to drop a like on this video. It helps out a ton. Every single like counts, so please do that. Thank you guys so much. Leave a comment if you want to see anything specific this off season or have any questions on what I thought about the season, and make sure to subscribe. I'm gonna have a bunch of videos coming out. After this is going to be kind of a lessons learned video from this season. Now with that out of the way, we can get into the awards. All right, first up, we're going to have the bust of the year. I want to get the bad awards out of the way first. For consideration, I had Allen Robinson, Russell Wilson, Kyle Pitts, Justin Herbert, Jonathan Taylor, and Alvin Kamara. There are definitely a couple other ones like Deebo Samuel who I could have included, but those are the 6 that I picked. The final 2 contenders for me were Russell Wilson and Kyle Pitts. That's who I thought it was really between. But the winner of this award, I'm going to have to give it to Kyle Pitts. I think he probably was the bust of the year. Finishes the tight end 31, and he was drafted as a tight end 3. And I do think part of this is just given the position at tight end, it's a lot harder to move on from these persons rather than like Russell Wilson or Justin Herbert or Allen Robinson, like those kind of guys. A little bit easier to move on from. When you draft a tight end super high and they don't produce, it's a lot more difficult to move on and find someone who you're going to trust. I know the leagues that I drafted him, I definitely experienced that and trying to actually bench him, and then you'd have these good weeks every once in a while, but overall just was not productive, did not help your team out, really hurt it since you were probably playing him most of the weeks, and then he didn't finish the season at all. It'll be curious to see what the outlook for him is going to be like next year, just given how he produced this year. I also do think depending on who the quarterback is going to be will make a big difference in who this is. Like if it's Desmond Ridder, or I doubt it'll be Mariota, but if it's him again, then he's probably going to be relatively low in the rankings, but I think he was the best of the year. Now moving on to injury of the year, another not good one, so want to get these out of the way. I had Cooper Kupp, Javonte Williams, Darren Waller, Breece Hall, Keenan Allen, and Jonathan Taylor. A lot of really bad ones. I honestly think the people like Javonte Williams and Breece Hall, where it was kind of clean cut, they're gone from your lineup, are a little bit better just because you can kind of figure out what you want to do with it. Although Cooper Kupp obviously was just so destructive to so many lineups. He was a clear wide receiver 1 before he got hurt, and then once he got hurt, he wasn't coming back the rest of the season. I had it between him and Keenan Allen. I think the issue with Keenan Allen was that you kept thinking he was going to come back week over week, and he wasn't on the long-term IR, so he kept being in and out of the IR spot, and you thought you would have him, and then you wouldn't. And he wasn't good until the very end of the season, and at that point, most people were probably out of the playoffs. I know I was in the league that I had him, which unfortunately, the league I had Kyle Pitts and Keenan Allen were the same league, so that was a tough league. So I did give it to Keenan Allen. I do think this is one of those ones that's a little bit biased because it affected me so much, but I think Cooper Kupp is probably like the better answer here, just given how good he was and the fact that so many people miss him for the playoffs and the end of the year when he was the clear wide receiver 1. But I think those 2 guys are definitely the clear choices. All right, moving on to comeback player of the year, a little bit better award. I had it between Saquon Barkley, Christian McCaffrey, Jared Goff, and Evan Ingram. I think really though it's between Saquon and Christian McCaffrey. They've both really struggled over the past 2 years, a lot of them due to injury, and they've both been 2 of the highest drafted players over those times. And this year they both balled out. Saquon definitely fell off a little bit in the back half of the year, and Christian McCaffrey was amazing from start to finish. He was the running back 2 overall and the running back 2 in points per game, so I think I got to give him the comeback player of the year, but either of these guys make for great choices. I am a Niners fan too, so a little bit biased there. All right, moving on to the waiver wire pickup of the year. I had it between Justin Fields, Christian Watson, Geno Smith, Jerick McKinnon, and Zay Jones. And Geno Smith was honestly really good this year. I think went under the radar how good he was. He's not my pick for this, but I do want to give him some love because he was great this year. Christian Watson was also super good at the back half of the year. I think the real choice is between Justin Fields and Jerick McKinnon. Jerick McKinnon, it was really more the back half of the year, but he was like the running back 1 over the last month. I think the running back 3 through the playoffs was just unbelievable in that time. And he was on the waiver wire for so much of the year, but because he was only good for a pretty short amount of time, I don't think you can actually give him this award. So I did give it to Justin Fields. He was a quarterback 5 on the entire year and the quarterback 2 after week 7. Just unbelievable from him, and started off really bad and was still able to finish as a quarterback 5. So he really saved a lot of people. He did struggle a little bit in the playoffs, which did kind of hurt his case somewhat. Overall, just an unbelievable year. I do not think that the Bears will draft another quarterback. I think it'd be really dumb if they did. They should just build around Justin Fields, but we'll just have to see. And that's, conversation for the offseason. But I think he's got to be the waiver wire pickup of the year. All right, after him, we're going to have the rookie of the year. It was between Kenneth Walker, Garrett Wilson, Dameon Pierce, Chris Olave, and just got to throw Breece Hall in there. He was just so good, but obviously can't win this award given how little he played. He only played I don't know the exact amount of games, 7 games. But he probably would have been the runaway choice if he stayed healthy all year. But really, I brought it down between Kenneth Walker and Garrett Wilson. Chris Olave kind of fell off in the back half of the year. Dameon Pierce wasn't able to finish the year. I think that Kenneth Walker does deserve this award. Once he got the starting job from Rashad Penny, it was because he got hurt, but that was in week 6. He was the RB7 from that point on. So just absolutely took over and helped win a lot of people championships. I know he did help me. Garrett Wilson, though, the quarterbacks he had to play with and the situation he was in was way less than ideal, and he still was really good, especially when Zach Wilson wasn't playing. I think this guy's unbelievable, and he's going to be probably really good next year, depending on the quarterback situation. There's a lot of buzz around different people going there, so we'll just have to wait and see, but he's going to be a stud regardless of who he has behind the center. All right, breakout play of the year. This was one of the toughest awards. I think all of these guys are really viable to win this. I had Devonta Smith, Jalen Waddle, Tony Pollard, Ramondre Stevenson, Justin Fields, and Amon-Ra St. Brown. There is a little bit of the kind of breakout player, like Devonta Smith, Jalen Waddle, Justin Fields, Amon-Ra. All those guys are second-year players, so there is a little bit of expectation for them to break out. And Jalen Waddle was really good last year, but was way better than I think anyone could have expected this year. And same thing with Amon-Ra. He was one of the best. I think he was a wide receiver 1 in the playoffs last year. So it's not totally unexpected that they broke out, but I definitely think they needed to get some love. I had this award, honestly, between Devonta Smith, Tony Pollard, and Justin Fields. Justin Fields is definitely one of the best options, but again, kind of second-year quarterback with the rushing ability. There is some expectation. I think Devonta Smith and Tony Pollard is the real discussion because Devonta Smith was the clear wide receiver 2 behind A.J. Brown in what seemed to be a run-heavy offense, and he was a wide receiver 10 this year. Just unbelievable. But I am going to give this award to Tony Pollard. I think he was way better than anyone could have expected this year with Zeke still being there and Zeke not getting hurt and Tony Pollard just being that good. He was the RB7 on the entire year. So if that isn't breaking out, then I don't know what is. And he's on a second-year player. So I think that there is some more of the actual breakout with him not being that second-year player. So I'm going to give this award to Tony Pollard, but this was one of the toughest awards and all of these guys definitely could have won it. And moving on to the very last award, another one that is just really tough to decide is the fantasy MVP. This one's really hard because it spans across so many positions and all of these guys were unbelievable. So a lot of them I kind of just wanted to put on there to just shout out. So I had Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Jalen Hurts, Justin Jefferson, Tyreek Hill, Austin Eckler, Josh Jacobs, and Travis Kelce. I could talk about all these guys forever. They all honestly deserve this award. If they are on your team, they helped you probably go pretty far. I do think, though, I'm going to have to give this award to Travis Kelce. He is just such a difference maker at his position. There's no one even close to him. He scored 85 more points than tight end 2 on the year. That's ridiculous. Had over 5 points per game more on them than the year. And his ADP was still in the second round. He wasn't a first round pick, and he was that much of a difference maker. Nobody even close to the same tier as him. So I got to give him the MVP, but any of these guys could have won it. I think that Josh Jacobs and Jalen Hurts probably would be the next 2 picks, just given where they were drafted. They were drafted so much lower than everybody else. I think those would be 2 great options, but I am going to give this award to Travis Kelce. But yeah, any of these guys are great. So yeah, here my first time ever doing awards. Probably will add in some more next year. Let me know what you think of them, which awards you would have given to other people, other awards I should include. And the next video coming out this week is going to be the lessons learned from 2022 to take into this next season of 2023. So stay tuned for that. Make sure to like this video and subscribe so you can see when that comes out. And I'll see y'all there. Later.